2024 was a year where a lot of things happened which were expected and a lot of things happened which were unexpected. There were a few things that many people predicted which didn't turn out to be absolutely true. But there were also certain things that people wanted it to badly happen and then it also happened. For instance, we all really wanted the Indian cricket team to win the T20 World Cup, and guess what? That happened.
T20 Cricket World Cup champions 2024.
And a lot of people assumed that thanks to this entire Ram Janmabhoomi movement that happened in last year, that BJP would get about 400 plus seats in the election.
अब की बार
But guess what? That did not happen. And also, we expected from a geopolitical standpoint things to be a little turbulent. But now, when we look back, it was not just a little turbulent, it was chaos. It was maximum turbulence that we experienced in the year 2024. A lot of governments changed, a few governments did not change, but the structures of these governments definitely changed, and that's exactly what happened in India as well. The fact that now it's no longer a BJP government and it's more of an NDA government speaks volumes to the same fact. The fact that when earlier in this year we didn't expect Donald Trump to nobody knew whether he was going to contest for the elections that was happening in the US. And as of today, Donald Trump is not only the next president of the United States of America, but he also survived not one, not two, but 3 assassination attempts as well.
happened.
Wow, this year has been crazy, isn't it? Now let's talk about what people are expecting in the year 2025. What are the changes that people are anticipating and expecting as well? And we are going to categorize this video into 3 parts. One is going to be about geopolitics. Second is going to be about internal things that are going to happen in India. Number 3, it's going to be about tech and everything that's going to happen with the technology sector. And finally, we are going to add another caveat to this video where we are going to cover few things about how this next year is going to change the way you and I and common people across this country. Alright, let's get to part now. It's been a year of chaos in geopolitics in 2024. On one hand, you had the Russia and Ukraine crisis that actually continued, and it actually became a lot more worse when the use of a few ballistic missiles were also that did take place. Just recently, an attack with drones really brought back memories of the WTC towers falling down from way back in 2001. And this happened in a city called Kazan in Russia and was orchestrated by Ukraine. Now, the issue is that war is kind of escalating and is still ongoing, but there's not much of media coverage for that war. Unless and until there's a major attack that happens from Ukraine, there's not much that people talk about it in the international media. On the other hand, the Gaza-Israel crisis is just blown out of proportion because there are a lot of parties that got involved in it. Number 1, we saw Hezbollah, Lebanon getting involved. Number 2, we saw the Syrian government led by Bashar al-Assad fall because of this. Then you have Iran's involvement, which is a lot more blatant today. It's no longer a proxy war between Israel and Iran anymore, isn't it? Because it looks like a proxy war because nobody wants to tell upfront that it's war between Iran and Israel, but it definitely looks like that. And on the other side of the coin, from an Indian standpoint, geopolitics has not been so great for us as well. Because in our own neighborhood in Bangladesh, a government which was led by Sheikh Hasina, which had a very pro-India stance, also was ousted from power. When that happened, there was a turmoil because Mr. Muhammad Yunus, who's the president of Bangladesh as of today, is not really pro-India and is considering talking about Ghazwa-e-Hind and all these things that also happened this year. 2024 has also not been a good year from a Pakistan-India point of view as well, because cross-border terrorism is still has been a reality for India, especially in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. This is a situation that has still not come under complete control. On the other hand, geopolitics has not been so good with India as well, considering the Khalistani movement has geared up so much that, there was situations that erupted so much that India and Canada had to really stop having diplomatic relations. India and Canada today do not see eye to eye at all because of various reasons, but mainly the root of the problem happens to be the Khalistani movement. This has been the reality of India. On the flip side, let me also give you some positives of geopolitical things that have happened to our country. India and China, the long-standing standoff that started in 2020 has officially ended. India and China are now looking at seeing eye to eye, and I'm not saying we are best of friends. I'm not saying we are now, very good with each other. No, but at least we are amicable. We know for a fact that it's a much more stable neighborhood when it comes to India and China. But India and China also has some other repercussions as well, because considering India and China both are playing a long game, it's very difficult to assume who is going to basically poke the other one and who is going to do it first. Indians feel, and we rightfully so, that the Chinese are just friends out of circumstance right now, but India's still enemy number one is still considered to be China. This is not me just saying it, it happens to be the reality of the times that we are living in. But this being said, we need to obviously look at the whole picture with the US, with Russia, with China, with obviously India as well involved in this, and look at what all has happened last year. Based on this, I can only come to a conclusion that 2025 and actually even 2026 is going to be filled with disruption, filled with chaos, and it could be from multiple fronts. On one hand, have a neighbor, a long-standing neighbor named Pakistan, which is facing its own internal problems.
Everything is going up to the roof.
Which is facing its own internal economic crisis, and now there is a possibility of this becoming a little bit more. On the other hand, we have Bangladesh, who was once pro-India, who is now taking an anti-India stance, which is also our own neighbor. Keeping both these things in mind, 2025 is going to be another year where we need to keep an eye out on these two countries and what these countries are actually going to do, because from a geopolitical angle, it's a very scary time to live in. That is one thing which nobody can even debate on. Will a World War III break out in the year 2024 or 2025? Because last year people did assume that maybe we might see World War III in 2024. But let's be honest, guys, this World War III has been in the rounds of conversations since 2020, since COVID broke out. And so far, we haven't seen a World War III. Look, for all practical purposes, according to me, if you agree or disagree, please let me know in the comments. World War III will only be World War III if the US, Russia, China are directly involved against each other. Not proxies, but direct. When I mean direct, if there's a Russian soldier and an American soldier fighting head-on, if there's a Chinese soldier and an American soldier fighting head-on, that is when we see a World War III. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of proxy wars. Now, will that happen this year? Well, it looks highly unlikely, because the new president of America has vowed to ensure that the war in Russia and Ukraine ends. He has also vowed to take a very positive stand to end the conflict that's happening in the Middle East as well. Well, time will tell whether it's going to be a reality or it's something which is just said for the sake of winning elections. But again, let's wait and watch. So our prediction for 2025 is only one thing. Geopolitically, the world will be in massive turbulence, and it will be a little more chaotic than 2024. In fact, 2024, you will consider it to be a cute year when it comes to geopolitics, because 2025 is going to be far more turbulent. And whether you like it or not, this is the reality. From an India perspective, 2024 saw massive elections that happened, including the general election and elections in other states as well. Well, 2025, we will only see few elections. There are not that many elections that are going to happen. Now, the point is that in the history of Narendra Modi's government, if you take it from an example of 2014 to 2019 and 2019 to 2024, the second year has always been the year of change. Whether you like it or not, that's been the pattern. Apart from the 2020 COVID pandemic, a lot of things that were also included and tried. Now, there are a lot of bills that are part of the BJP manifesto, including the UCC, including completion of NRC, including the implementation of CAA, and a lot of other bills that are still pending, and there is part of the BJP manifesto from day one.
सभी के सभी राज्यों के चिंताओं का निराकरण इस बिल के अंदर समाहित है.
So, from prediction point of view, we feel that this is the year where there will be a lot of bills that will be introduced and a lot of bills that will actually get approved by the parliament. And these bills will change the way the whole country operates. Of course, one thing's for sure, there will be no changes in the tax regime, and there will be no much changes at all for the middle class Indian citizen.
I am now announcing a comprehensive review of the Income Tax Act 1961.
But as far as the BJP manifesto goes, if you read it thoroughly, most of them might actually be tabled in the year 2025. Why am I saying 2025? Is because CAA NRC was not really done only due to two reasons. Number one, because Sheikh Hasina was the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, and number two, more importantly, was the fact that they didn't have the sort of support from a geopolitical angle. Today, that does not exist. Today, the things have changed completely. And right now will be the time when the government of India will look at it very aggressively. And more importantly, the government took its own time to look at the whole situation, look at all the elections that are happening. The fact that we have one election, one nation bill that has already been passed in the parliament suggests that now the government is looking at not really focusing on winning state elections, but will focus on actually completing its objectives as per the manifesto that they themselves created before the 2024 elections. So India, that way, will see a lot of changes. From an economy perspective, the Indian economy saw a little bit of a lull period this year. We saw a few crashes in the stock market, and we saw massive layoffs as well. On the other hand, there was a lot of talk about work-life balance. There's a lot of conversations and chatter about the tax regime, which has not been so unfavorable for the government's policies.
In the new tax regime, the tax rate structure is proposed to be revised as follows.
Now, these conversations are going to continue, and they are going to scale further and further and further. And we will see some changes probably in this year. But more importantly, apart from taxation, apart from all these things, Indian economy will grow, but maybe it also depends on how well the global economies as well grow. How well is America going to control its inflation, and how well America will actually ensure quantitative easing in their economy. Because everything is interlinked, and let's see how that goes. But economically, we are again in a dicey situation, but let's see how it goes, because like I said, predictions everybody can do, opinions everybody can give, but the raw data suggests that India will grow from a GDP point of view, but our per capita income is not going to move that many points above. It will be a little stagnant, and that's because of various reasons which we will cover overall in the next coming videos. If you look at the entire technological disruptions that happened in the year 2024, the only thing that comes to everyone's mind is artificial intelligence and how well it grew and what kind of opportunities it presented to the whole world. There are so many AI tools that can be used to create, to do multiple things that, normally you would pay huge amounts of money and wait for a lot of time being done by fellow human beings. But let me tell you one thing, the kind of scale at which AI has grown in 2024 was not anticipated. In the year 2023, experts said that by 2027 we should be able to do this with AI. But it turned out to be that in 2024 itself, we were able to do so many things with AI. And there is a lot of chatter about 2025 going to be another year for AI taking over a lot of things that human beings are actually currently doing. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Python programming has become possible with ChatGPT. Creating multiple presentations, creating multiple data analytical reports are now a reality with ChatGPT. What was done by teams of 3-4 coders can now be done on AI. And I'm not even talking about, and there are multiple tools for it. You can create brand kits, logos, and multiple things just by using the latest version of ChatGPT. Now, with all these things considered, and the fact that now there's a lot of talk about AI agents and AI employees for enterprises, that's also going to be a reality. The bottom line is artificial intelligence is not the future. It's definitely not even the past. It is our reality. And the reality is that AI is taking over a lot of things that we possibly were doing. So yes, are people, going to be affected by this? Definitely. Are people going to lose their jobs to AI? Most certainly. But how do you basically face the world with AI involved? Well, it's high time we all accept the reality of AI and embrace it and use it for our own benefit. Because unless and until we do it on our own, somebody else will do it and they will take over whatever we were doing in the first place. There's a lot of things that we in this channel also use AI for. And you know what? We better use it, because otherwise, how will we even think about growing our channel? And which reminds me, we would love to grow as a channel, and if you are enjoying this content, if you do like what we are creating on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We will be eternally grateful for that. Now, coming back to the other parts of this. Technologically, blockchain also saw a revival of sorts when Bitcoin hit $100K US in value this year. A lot of altcoins and even stable coins are going up in value, and a lot of companies that are actually trying to create multiple variations of crypto as well as blockchain technology integrated with various systems. This is going to happen, and it is already happening. And there are a few people who will be wondering, stop blabbering so much about all these things and tell us pointers, give us these companies, give us these coins. Well, my message to you is that this is not a video where I'm going to be talking only about that, but this is a video about actually telling you that deep tech is real and it's already entered the space of reality as of 2024, and it's going to become much, much, much more in 2025. Well, keep an eye out on all these technologies. Keep an eye out on how much each of these coins are coming into, because if you want to create wealth by investing in crypto, probably next year is the right year for you. If you want to learn about something which is very, very new, very, very fresh, well, it's a golden opportunity for you as well. Because understand one thing, attention goes where money goes. And right now, Bitcoin, blockchain is where money is going to, and you will see a lot more startups coming up with these sort of different technologies. But there's a huge disclaimer though. Anything that has to be done with blockchain really depends on government policies. Right now, India's government policy is not as favorable as it should be for such a major technology. But that being said, things can change, because like I said in the starting of the video and even now, change is the only constant, and this will also change every single day. So brace yourselves for a very exciting, turbulent and a chaotic year from a technological point of view as well. Now, like I said, there's so much of turbulence, so much of chaos, so much of unpredictability in 2025. But like I said, there's also a few silver linings as well. The world might see a lot of changes, but as long as you're aware of it upfront, you can do something about it. But let me also give you some insights into what happened in 2024 from a weather point of view, because many cities in India, we faced a very hot summer, and we are also facing a very cold winter. And ironically, Bangalore's winters have not been so cold, but it's been a little warm in the morning. It's a very weird weather in Bangalore anyway. But we also faced a startling water shortage issue earlier this year, and we also cities like Delhi faced a huge pollution problem, which has become a normal for them. Mumbai faced its own issues. Chennai had floods, and cities like Hyderabad also faced their own issues. But my point is that these weather changes, weather-based issues will continue. I think from a preparation angle, I think as Indians, we are more prepared to face 2025, because one thing that the first half of this decade has taught us is that life is unpredictable, life can be chaotic. Because the first 5 years of this decade, we saw a pandemic, we have seen multiple wars, we have seen change in governments, we have also seen some sort of, the protests happening, we have seen our neighbors crumbling in terms of from a country point of view, we have seen rise in divorce cases, we have seen rise in mental health issues, we have seen everything in the first half of this decade itself. And I think, believe me, the reality is that we are much more well prepared going forward in the next decade, because one thing is for sure, we do not know what to expect, but we are prepared even for the worst case scenario. And that's the biggest positive lining, because when you see rise of AI and rise of all these things happening simultaneously, sometimes we don't know what to do. And that's the reason why the word brain rot became the word of the year this year. Because so much of content we are consuming from a news angle, from an information angle, and from a knowledge perspective, that we are actually kind of lost in translation. We are lost in our own thoughts. I guess right now, as far as 2025 is concerned, we are much well prepared. We know what we are doing, we know what we are heading towards, and we know the changes are happening, and we are prepared for it. And preparation is the key to face any adversity, and I think we are already well prepared enough. So a message to all fellow millennial citizens of India is that, no matter how much you try to predict, you cannot predict, because life is unpredictable. And number two, you need to just chill for a while, look at what's happening, and look at the silver lining in everything that we mentioned, everything that you listen to, and look for opportunities that can actually improve your life from a financial perspective, from a social perspective, and from a health perspective, or any perspective as a matter of fact. So on behalf of the Indian Millennials channel, this is me, Rohit Kurpad, and on behalf of the entire team that comprises of Tarun Shesham, who is my partner, Abhishek, who is behind the camera, and Saurabh, who is actually the editor of this video, we wish you all a very happy, prosperous, healthy, and peaceful 2025. But let me tell you, brace yourselves for a little bit more content from our side, and for people who have supported us in our limited journey in terms of our followers, we promise you to create a lot more content, a lot more stories from across India going forward in the year 2025. Until then, have a very wonderful new year ahead. Take care, goodbye, see you next year.